It's not every day that we get a pro boxer, especially from the other side of the world. It's 1 o'clock in the morning in Colorado.
Oh,
What
wow.
time is it over on your side?
It's 5 p.m. in the afternoon.
Well,
Completely different.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you for staying up.
Oh, the pleasure is ours. So Ella, tell us a little bit about um, your life before you got involved in the fighting game, in the sweet science, as they call it.
Okay, so I actually started karate as a child. So I've been involved in combat sports since I was really little. So I did 9 years of karate, got a second dan black belt, competed. And then when I was, how old was I? 16, I decided to transition over to boxing.
At 16. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, flash forward to more recently. You're a couple fights, pro fights in, correct?
Yeah, I've had two professional fights.
Going back to fight number one, kind of take us through what your mindset was and what training looked like preparing for that first ever pro fight.
Okay. So I have a mindset coach. So I did a lot of mental preparation with him. It's really beneficial, I think, in sort of understanding like emotions and controlling your behaviors and focusing and getting clarity on what you're gonna be doing in the ring and what you should be feeling, things like that. So that was good. My preparation leading up was training in the gym, boxing 5 to 6 times a week, and then strength and conditioning as well. So I sort of, with my training program and camps, I sort of go off how the body's feeling. My coach, I don't know if you know Johnny Lewis.
Yes,
He's
I do.
had Yes, he's had quite a few world champions, and he's really like he's a bit old school, but he goes back to like all these methods and training styles. So
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, so I learned a lot through him. Yeah.
What would you say, some of the biggest differences between your first fight and then your second fight?
Okay, so my first fight, I hadn't fought in boxing for over 2 years as an amateur. So it was quite a little while out of the ring because of COVID and everything. I felt quite nervous in my first professional fight because it was on like live TV and I had a lot of people there supporting me, things like that. So I was quite nervous. I got the job done, but it wasn't my best performance. But compared to my second fight, I felt a lot better, a lot more comfortable, a lot more learned from the first fight. So that was good.
Now, as far as goals, with any sport, athletes tend to study other athletes. Are
Mm.
there any fighters whose film or tape that you like to study? Any fighters that you like to take different elements from?
Um, hmm. I do like watching quite a few boxers. Um, I love watching Katie Taylor. She's in the lightweight division,
Okay.
the undisputed girl. So I love watching her and Amanda Serrano. They're both really good boxers in the female ranks. Um, I like watching Alicia Baumgardner over in America.
Okay.
Yeah, love her style. It's really awesome.
She's
Uh,
actually from my hometown of Detroit. So
oh, really?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love Terence Crawford's style, the switching, the adaptability. I love that. I love that about boxing as well. I feel like the skill is really something that I find really passionate. Like I'm passionate towards. Um, yeah.
And obviously boxing is not a sport that a person can, just go into and just try it out halfway. You got to be 100%. So, obviously that's not easy. Now, as far as like fighting in different parts of the world, is there any part of the world that you would love to get a fight at?
Oh, I'd love to be in America. I'd love to be fighting in America. I cannot wait for that time to come. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. As far as diet, so we've had athletes from different sports. For the more football players, or American football players, the power lifters, they're doing a lot of carbs and a lot of protein. Now, for a fighter in your weight class, what does your diet consist of?
So my diet is mostly it's sort of based around my training. So I fuel my body to perform. So pre-training will be carbs, moderate protein. I'll be fueling afterwards with the right nutrients, proper meals, making sure I'm hydrated, things like that. Yeah, it's quite balanced, really. Changes, of course, leading into a fight, cutting weight. I actually haven't fought in my weight division as a professional yet, so I haven't had the pleasure of making weight properly. So we'll see how we go there.
And recently, I had a couple fighters on the show, and based on the feedback I got from our younger viewers, I didn't do a good job of having the fighters kind of share a little bit about the culture, where they're from. So, kind of talk a little bit about the interesting parts of your side of the world and how a typical day in the life looks like culture-wise.
Okay, so I'm part-time working as a coach in high performance strength and conditioning. So I work with my coach there. He's guiding me and mentoring me. So my morning starts there. I'll do a couple of hours work with him. And then I go to my first training session, which is boxing. I drive into the city. So that's about 40 minutes to get there from where I live.
40-minute drive?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I
wow.
actually live south of Sydney in Cronulla. So I'm like near the beach, and then I have to drive into the city to train.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all right. And then I get home. I've got a little dog that I go take for a quick walk at the beach, have some lunch, have a little bit of a rest, and then I go back to the gym for my second session. So yeah, so I like to read, meditate, do all that like mental, like relaxing, being in nature, that sort of thing in my downtime. But I've also got a really busy schedule as well with university, boxing, and a bit of coaching. So that's my day.
So where do you see yourself, let's say in 5 years, kind of when we're thinking about long-term goals?
I see myself as a world champion in 5 years. Definitely. I want to be the undisputed lightweight champion. So that's my biggest goal. That's my main priority. But I've definitely got that thing that I'm working towards after boxing as well. So I'm not sort of just having boxing and then having nothing afterwards. So got that study behind me, the coaching, which I also really love. I love empowering people and helping them to learn things. Yeah, it's really awesome. It's really rewarding. So it's great.
Beautiful. And what type of advice would you have for young ladies that have an interest in boxing? They want to get involved in a sport, but they don't know how to go about it.
I think just do a little bit of research, see if there's anything nearby. If there's a boxing gym that you've seen and you want to go, maybe bring a friend that you might want to go with. I think with girls, like they always just get a bit shy going by themselves. I found that as a like when I first started boxing, I was a bit shy going into a gym full of boys. So if I had like a friend there, it would have just made me a lot more comfortable.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So
Awesome. So, kind of, you just tell them to kind of like, take their time, kind of work their
yeah,
way in. Makes
definitely.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So, are you a native of Australia or a native of New Zealand?
Of Australia. I was born in the UK and then I moved to
Oh,
Australia when I was 7 years old.
okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is unique about Australia? Because I've heard it's a continent and a country as well. So, kind of tell us some of the unique things about Australia.
Um, a big country with not a huge amount of people. Especially in boxing, it's hard to find opponents. There's lots
Oh,
of
really?
travel to get fights and things like that. Lots of land, lots of farming, beach, things like that. What's unique about it? Um,
What are some of the foods, some of
yeah,
like the popular cuisine out
hmm. We have things like avocado on toast. That's a really popular breakfast. I don't know if that is where
there?
you are.
We do some
uh,
avocado here as well.
yeah. And we have like acai bowls on hot days and things like that. We've got lots of really nice like fresh produce. So
Oh,
like
wow.
I cook at home most of my meals. So we'll have like salads and um, stir fries and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty
Yeah.
much, I assume a lot of the fresh fruits and vegetables are probably like organic, fresh produce. Whereas here in America, the stuff that are fresh from a farm, they cost a lot more because they just say it's organic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it would be for sure. I have definitely heard that.
Now, language wise, do you speak more than one language?
No, not really. Most Australians mostly just speak English. Of
Okay.
course, there's the traditional owners of the land, the Aboriginal, the
Okay.
Indigenous people. But it's quite a multicultural country, really. Like quite a lot from the European countries, the UK,
Okay.
America, like yeah, so quite diverse, really. Yeah.
Beautiful. And that's pretty much, the concept that people get about Australia, it's very diverse.
Yeah.
It's now switching over to the fight side. How difficult is it to book fights for your next opponents? What is some of like the behind the scenes work that goes into picking out the next person that you're gonna fight?
It's really difficult. Especially as a female, I find. There are a few girls in the country boxing, like, but I find there's different levels. So there's girls that have only been boxing for a little while, and then there's been
Okay.
girls boxing for a very long time, but there's sort of nothing that really fits. So it's quite hard to find opponents. I've actually been looking for my next fight. I can't find anyone in Australia, so
Oh, wow.
outside now. Yeah, it's really,
Um,
really challenging.
are you thinking more like really far from Australia or still close by, like in New Zealand, someplace kind of like that where it's not terribly far? Or are you
Mm.
thinking more like the other side of the world?
My coach is just looking like sort of New Zealand, just the
Oh,
neighboring countries at the moment. And then next year we've got goals to go overseas and things like that. So that'll
okay.
definitely be great. Yeah.
Do you plan on staying in, you plan on like moving up one weight class, or your long-term goal is to move up a couple weight classes?
Um, I'm hoping I can stay at lightweight.
Okay.
But I'll do anything to get a fight at the moment. I went up 3 weight divisions to fight in my previous fight. So
Oh,
I think
wow.
9 kilos heavier.
Okay. So that's, that's something that the average fan probably doesn't even realize,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's quite a big jump, really. Especially at this weight. I guess in the heavier weights, it's not much of a huge difference, but
Yes.
yeah, it is for
Yes.
me.
Yeah, I'm glad you share that. That's something that, I wouldn't have known, and neither would our younger viewers. Um, for sparring, we had a previous female guest, and she had said that periodically she would spar with, with the guys. Do you find
Mm.
yourself sparring with guys from time to time, or just predominantly the females?
It's definitely both. Um,
Oh, wow.
do try and get female sparring, but if it's not there, I'll just jump in with the boys, which is really awesome as well because they've got a bit of speed, which is really good.
So,
Yeah.
is your approach any different with the guys? Are you kind of like getting off to a faster, more aggressive start with them, or are you pacing yourself instead?
I think it's quite the same.
Okay.
Yeah. I think just not getting hit by heavy shots and making sure defense is good.
Oh,
Because you don't want to be risking getting concussed or anything like that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Now, for the purpose of brand building, we always tell our young viewers to, not just focus on their respective sports, but also think about building their own brand, get involved in advertisements and so forth. Are there any products that you've been advertising, anything you've been doing to build your brand?
Not really product wise. I've got a few like sponsors at the
Okay.
moment. Just like I got a clothing brand called Unbroken, boxing gloves, Power Box. They're all
Oh,
Australian based
okay.
companies. But not really, no, not at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay. Still a
Mhm.
start with the sponsorships.
Yeah.
For for more of the international side, for younger female fans that want to follow you, kind of share your social media page contact info so they can look you up.
Okay, so my Instagram is Ella_boot.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Underscore.
yeah.
And as far as social media platforms, which ones are you currently on?
I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook.
Uh, And last but not least, we like to ask our guests a variety of two questions. So with you being on the other side of the world, if you are coming up with a book so far on your young life story, what will be the title of that book and why?
Ooh, that's a
Real
very
tough.
good question. That is an awesome question.
Thank you.
Um, it'd have to be something related to like chasing your dreams or something, or like I'm not sure. Oh, it put me on the
Put
spot.
you on the spot like we do with each and every guest.
uh, maybe like girl get that dream or something like that.
Okay. Something with some action in it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense. Ella, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
Oh,
Other side of the world, shout outs to Australia, shout outs to you and your fight team. Continual blessings and continued success, Ella. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you, Gerard.
So